Hold on to your magnifying glasses, because today we're unraveling the story behind a penny you might have thought was everyday pocket change. Picture that familiar copper flash sliding under your fingertips, and realize it could be hiding secrets that send prices skyward. We're diving headfirst into the 1992 Lincoln cent, the one that slipped through the mint's quality control and whispered value to collectors worldwide. By the end of this segment, you'll know exactly how to spot a treasure, understand its journey from raw metal to auction block, and appreciate why a humble penny can become the crown jewel of a well-seasoned collection. The tale of the 1992 Lincoln cent begins with a design that's more than half a century old. When the United States Mint introduced the Lincoln cent in 1909, it broke tradition by featuring a real person, President Abraham Lincoln, on the obverse. Fast forward to 1992, and this design still held pride of place, with Victor David Brenner's portrait facing right, the word liberty to the left, and the motto "In God We Trust" arching overhead. That year, the Mint churned out billions of pennies at Philadelphia and Denver, aiming for consistency as citizens around the country cranked their machines and released spare change back into circulation. Unexpectedly, that very same insistence on volume over meticulous scrutiny allowed a handful of anomalies to slip by, variations that would later become prized treasures. At first glance, a 1992 penny looks just like any other, a warm, brown copper color enveloping a familiar face. Yet seasoned eyes can spot telling clues. Some specimens bear the so-called double die effect on the reverse, where the words United States of America and 1 cent seem to echo ever so slightly, an imprint offset, as if a second impression stamped its presence. Other examples exhibit repunched mint marks at Denver, where the tiny D was punched more than once, leaving overlapping ghosts of the letter behind. Even grease-filled strikes, where oil or grease smeared part of the design during minting, created faint, flat features that contrast sharply with fully struck neighbors. Key to unlocking these varieties is a loop of at least 10 times magnification and a steady hand, scanning edges of letters, fields, and devices for telltale doubling, smudges, or uneven surfaces. Collectors who've chased the 1992 anomalies have watched values climb steadily. Ordinary circulated specimens may still trade for a few cents above face value, but error coins reach into 2- and 3-figure territory. In 2023, a well-documented 1992 Philadelphia double die obverse in crisp mint state condition commanded nearly $1,500 at a major auction. A similar 1992 D double die reverse example, graded MS66 RB, red-brown, fetched roughly $850 in 2024, while a rarer grease-struck variety in top condition soared past $2,000 when it appeared on the block. These records underscore the fact that even minor deviations from the intended design can spark fierce bidding wars among eager collectors, who understand that scarcity plus striking appeal equals prime value. More than numbers, these coins carry quirky backstories worthy of any collector's fireside. One particularly eccentric example began its life in a West Coast jewelry maker's workshop. The mint employee had taken home a handful of test strikes to show friends. Years later, a descendant discovered the cash in a dusty box, unaware that those pennies bore prominent doubling on Lincoln's ear. When authenticated, the lot spun nearly $5,000 in a single sale. Another grease-struck specimen surfaced in a farmer's barn, mixed in with car parts and old tools. Its uneven, matte fields hinted at mishandling at the die hub, but the reverse lettering remained pristine, creating a dramatic contrast that collectors found irresistible. Of course, condition reigned supreme. A well-circulated 1992 penny, worn edges, dull surfaces, and most of Lincoln's hair flattened by countless transactions, may only fetch around 50 cents to $1. Jump up to about uncirculated AU, where touches the highest points of Lincoln's shoulder, and values climb to $3 or $4. At mint state 60, MS60, where nowhere is visible but bag marks and minor blemishes abound, the market coolly sits near $15. Slide into the rarefied air of MS65 RB, red-brown, and you're looking at $200 or more for a clean, eye-catching example. For that elusive MS67 RB, where full original red coloration glows and perfection reigns, values can stretch into the mid-four-figure range, especially if doubling is present. Amid these technicalities, it's easy to overlook how the 1992 penny fits into broader trends. The early 90s saw rising copper costs, prompting the U.S. Mint just 6 years earlier to shift composition from solid bronze to a zinc core plated in copper. That change contributed to occasional striking irregularities, as the softer copper layer behaved differently under high-speed presses. In 1992, the plates were well worn after a decade of use, leading to subtle die chatter and faint lines under magnification. Today, many collectors prize these background textures as part of the coin's story. They're not flaws so much as snapshots of industrial history. When you hold a 1992 penny with visible doubling on the words, "of America," you're gripping a moment when raw production numbers collided with delicate metal science. The Philadelphia Mint, guided by machinery and quality control protocols, aimed for uniformity, but tiny misalignments in die installations left us with echoes. Those echoes now reverberate through auction halls, where experienced collectors don't just bid on copper discs but on the narratives they carry. Each die pair, each stamping anomaly, tells us about the Mint's daily routines, the pace of coin production, and the vigilance, or lack thereof, of inspectors on the press. If you suspect one of your own pennies might be a hidden gem, start by sorting for strong red color and a mirror-like sheen. That brilliant luster often commands premium prices. Next, use a 10x magnifier to comb every letter. Begin with the motto "In God We Trust" on the obverse, looking for separation or doubling around U and T. Move to the reverse, scanning the curve of the C in cent for doubled edges. Check the mint mark. Is the D perfectly sharp, or do you spot a fainter shadow layering behind? Even subtle doubling on the date itself can nudge your piece out of face value territory. While market values can swing based on collector sentiment, grading standards, and the emergence of fresh error fines, solid metrics guide seasoned numismatists. Plastic-slabbed coins from reputable graders like PCGS and NGC enhance buyer confidence, pushing prices upward. An NGC MS66RD, red, double die reverse example recently sold for $2,200, proving that top-tier condition plus a recognized error designation forms a powerful combination. These auction records serve as benchmarks, reminding us that a casual glance at pocket change might hide long-sought rarities. Beyond dollar signs and error atlases, the 1992 Lincoln Cent offers a chance to connect with fellow enthusiasts. Forums light up when someone posts high-resolution photos of a suspected double die, inviting knowledgeable collectors to share insights. Local coin clubs host show and tells where hands-on examination brings to life stories that can't be captured by photos alone. This communal aspect underscores a fundamental truth: each coin carries not just metal and design, but human curiosity and the thrill of discovery. Now that you've explored the origins, quirks, values, and stories behind the 1992 penny, you're primed to spot errors, understand their significance, and appreciate the market forces that elevate a single-cent piece into a noteworthy collectible. Up next, we'll shift our focus to the 2014 Lincoln Cent, uncovering its unique surprises and tracking down the varieties that continue to captivate seasoned collectors and casual finders alike. But before we move on, take a moment to admire that copper glow and realize that even the smallest artifact can hold the richest tales. Just when you thought pennies were passé, the 2014 Lincoln Cent stepped onto the stage with a surprise twist that turned heads in coin circles everywhere. After chasing the 1992 anomalies, collectors sharpened their eyes, and in 2014, they discovered that modern minting wasn't immune to quirks. What began as a routine issue marking the 100th anniversary of Victor Brenner's original design grew into a hunt for varieties that could fetch hundreds or even thousands. Stick around, because this isn't just about metal and dates, it's about the unexpected drama hiding in plain sight on a coin you might find in your change today. The origin story of the 2014 Lincoln Cent is rooted in a milestone, the centennial of the Lincoln Cent's debut in 1909. The U.S. Mint paid tribute by altering the reverse design, rolling out 4 distinct portraits of Lincoln capturing different stages of his life, birth and early childhood, formative years, professional life, presidency, and, finally, memorialization. These 4 reverse types replaced the classic wheat ears or shield design, making every roll of pennies a potential time capsule. Philadelphia and Denver struck tens of millions of each variety, intending to engage the public and honor Lincoln's legacy. Yet, amid the volume, nature abhors a perfect process, and a few striking errors slipped through quality control, leaving collectors with exciting puzzles to solve. Spotting a rare 2014 penny starts with understanding the intended look. On the obverse, Brenner's familiar profile remains untouched, Lincoln gazing right, date just below, Liberty etched in crisp relief, and "In God We Trust" along the top rim. On the reverse, each of the 4 designs features subtle artistic flourishes, a smoother field here, a sharper detail in Lincoln's coat there. But the errors emerge in the deviations, weak strikes that leave Lincoln's flowing hair looking compressed, double striking that ghost images the date or mint mark, and die cracks that spiderweb across the field like microscopic lightning bolts. Unlike classic double dies of earlier decades, these 2014 varieties are usually less dramatic, requiring a careful loop sweep across the date and mint mark area. Perhaps the most sought-after 2014 variety is the mule error pairing. A single 2014 D wheat reverse die accidentally met the 2014 P Lincoln cent obverse, creating a P wheat mule unlike any other. This freak mashup produced a coin showing the P mint mark with the old wheat ear backside, something the mint never intended to strike. Only a handful of these escaped the presses before inspectors caught the mistake, making them extraordinarily rare. In 2022, one such mule graded MS-64 by PCGS sold for over $60,000, underscoring that a modern penny can still deliver blockbuster auction results. Auction records for non-mule 2014 errors may not rival 6-figure sums, but they're nothing to sneeze at. A 2014 double die obverse from Denver, graded MS-67RD, fetched $2,100 in late 2023, while a 2014 P reverse die crack variety, where a tiny fissure runs from Lincoln's shoulder into the field, sold for $550 in an online sale earlier this year. Even weak strike varieties, where the relief appears noticeably softer around Lincoln's chin and jawline, garnered bids between $100 and $250 when graded $58 or better. Such figures remind us that modern date errors can be lucrative, especially when accompanied by solid desirability among veteran collectors. Beyond the raw numbers, the human stories behind these pennies add color. One collector recounted spotting a faint doubling on the date of a 2014 P cent in his pocket change, an anomaly so subtle he almost passed it off as a scratch. A quick accreditation from NGC turned that pocket finder into a $400 sale, funding his next graded purchase. Another tale involves a high-grade 2014 D Type 2 reverse die break. The owner nearly used it as a washer beneath an end table leg until sheer luck made her notice a squiggly line near the rim. Once authenticated, that minor crack elevated the coin's value tenfold. Condition matters just as much as the error type. A softly struck 2014 penny in circulated condition might be worth a mere $1 or $2 above face value. In about uncirculated, where just the highest points of Lincoln's cheek and shoulder lose sheen, expect around $15 for a recognized variety. At full mint state with original red luster preserved, ungraded pieces trade from $40 to $75. Jump into the mid-60s on the Sheldon scale, and values spike. MS-65RD coins with clear doubling or mint mark repunching can reach $300, while MS-67RD examples, especially the mule varieties, can pierce the 4-figure barrier. Grading by top services like PCGS or NGC adds that layer of trust essential for commanding peak prices. The science behind these errors ties into the mint's shift to more automated processes in the 2000s. Computerized presses and robotic die installations reduced human oversight, turning quality control into a blend of high-tech sensors and periodic manual inspections. In 2014, that balance tipped just enough to let a stray wheat reverse die slip into place. Die-ware also played a role, running millions of coins through a single hub left subtle stress fractures that widened over time, morphing into visible die cracks on the coin's surface. Collectors now prize these fissures as badges of industrial history, proof that even with modern machinery, perfection remains elusive. If you're hunting 2014 errors in your change or your collection boxes, start with a fresh roll of pennies. Look for coins that gleam with untouched red color. The odds are higher they haven't been handled much. Use a bright light and a 10x loupe to search for doubling around the date and mint mark. Check the reverse type. Does it match one of the 4 centennial portraits, or could it be that stray wheat reverse? Feel for raised lines radiating from Lincoln's jaw or shoulder. Those subtle ridges betray a die crack. Photograph suspects at multiple angles and post them to reputable online forums. Veteran members often spot nuances that elude even experienced eyes. Market data for 2014 pennies is still evolving. As more collectors learn to spot these errors, demand rises, but so do supply reports as sporadic finds surface in estates and bulk purchases of unsearched rolls. Recently, a cache of 50 unsearched 2014 D rolls yielded 2 additional mule errors, sending shockwaves through the hobby. Auction houses adjusted their estimates upward. Price guides now reflect premiums closer to $70,000 for top-grade mules rather than the $50,000 benchmark set just 2 years earlier. Meanwhile, dialyzed trends show steady growth for more common double die and die crack issues. Values have climbed an average of 5% per year since 2020. Amid these market shifts, a seasoned collector's instinct remains invaluable. Numbers in guides and online listings offer a starting point, but context matters. The sharpness of doubling, location and severity of die cracks, and overall eye appeal can vary dramatically from one coin to the next. A slightly misaligned mule might underperform if it's poorly struck or heavily bag-marked, whereas a well-centered, fully read MS-66 example with a fine hairline crack could outshine a technically rarer but less attractive counterpart. Now that you've uncovered the centennial penny's hidden stories, from intentional design flourishes to the serendipitous mule errors, you're equipped to spot and value 2014 Lincoln cents like a pro. Up next, we'll tackle the 2018 penny, where shifting metal costs and evolving mint processes unleashed yet another wave of fascinating varieties. But before we move on, set that 2014 mule aside, savor the thrill of the find, and prepare yourself for the next chapter of modern penny lore. And just as the centennial celebration yielded unexpected treasures, the 2018 Lincoln penny emerged with its own set of surprises, proof that even the most recent issues can conceal numismatic marvels. In 2018, the U.S. Mint continued refining its zinc core, copper-plated formula, all while ramping up automated processes to meet growing demand. Yet metal fatigue, die wear, and fleeting die pairings combined to produce error coins that savvy collectors snapped up within months of release. By following this story, you'll learn to spot that rare double die profile, trace the faint outline of a misaligned mint mark, and recognize the subtle die cracks that can transform a 1-cent piece into a collection centerpiece. The backstory begins with the Mint's efforts to optimize production. After experimenting in previous years with enhanced strike pressures and fresh steel hubs, Mint engravers in Philadelphia and Denver aimed for sharper details on the wheat-free 2018 reverses. The obverse stuck with Brenner's classic portrait and the inscriptions that generations have come to know. But behind the scenes, a new set of dies, machined faster, installed by robots, and cycled through high-speed presses, presented fresh opportunities for anomalies. By mid-year, collectors began sharing images online of coins showing doubled numerals in the date and irregularities in the mint mark, revealing that perfection still eludes even the most advanced minting lines. At first glance, a standard 2018 penny presents a bright copper sheen, a crisp 2018 date, and a tiny P or D mint mark nestled just above the lower rim on the obverse. The reverse features the stylized Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 2010, surrounded by United States of America and E Pluribus Unum. Yet hidden within these familiar elements are key identifying features for rare varieties. The most dramatic of these is the double die obverse. Look closely at the 2 in 2018, and you'll sometimes catch a faint shadow duplicate, as if a second strike misaligned by a fraction of a millimeter imprinted an echo image. On mint marks, a slight repunch or tilt can create tiny serifs or ghost lines around the D, betraying a second impression. One of the earliest 2018 anomalies to command attention was the broken rim die crack variety. Collectors noticed thin hairline fissures beginning near Lincoln's lower shoulder and radiating outward, crossing the date and even slicing through part of the memorial on the reverse. These cracks resulted from tempered die steel succumbing to repeated stress, and while most die cracks remain superficial, some 2018 specimens feature cracks as long as 2 mm, highly visible under bright, direct light. Because die cracks evolve as the die deteriorates, early-run coins display the most pronounced, eye-catching ridges, making them particularly valuable if found in high grade. Auction records for the 2018 double die obverse quickly escalated. In late 2023, a Philadelphia Mint example, certified MS66RD, red, sold for $1,750, demonstrating that modern-date errors retain strong collector appeal. A Denver counterpart, graded MS65RB, red-brown, with a sharp doubled 8, fetched $950 at auction earlier this year. Meanwhile, a high-grade MS67RD mintmark repunch variety reached $2,100, signaling that crisp definition and full original luster amplify collector demand. For the broken rim die crack coins, which are more plentiful but vary widely in crack prominence, strong 58 Australian dollars pieces trade between $75 and $150, while pristine MS65 examples climb into the $400 to $600 range. Beyond doubling in cracks, die chips and cut errors surfaced among 2018 cents. A die chip occurs when a tiny fragment breaks away from the die face, leaving raised blobs or semicircular crescents on the coin. Several 2018 D coins exhibit chips at the rim just below the date, appearing as little bumps that stand out against the flat field. Collectors prize these oddities. One MS64RD chip example sold for $300, because they're reproducible on multiple coins from the same die, enabling attribution to specific die numbers. Cut errors, where larger die fragments detach and leave a blank swath of metal, are rarer but have shown up on 2018 rolls. A single-piece graded MS63RD achieved $1,200 at regional auction thanks to its dramatic missing rim appearance. The human stories behind these modern marvels circulate just as fast as the coins themselves. One collector recalled buying a $5 roll of Lincoln cents from a supermarket change machine. While sifting through them at home, he spotted a doubled 2 on a 2018 P, then spent the next week scouring online forums to confirm it wasn't damage. When it sold for $1,200 through an eBay auction, he used the proceeds to acquire a complete set of 2009 bicentennial varieties. In another tale, a professional numismatist inspecting raw rolls for a local dealership noticed a faint crack bowing under the S in states on the reverse. That single find prompted a broader hunt through over 2,000 coins, netting 10 additional specimens and effectively launching a club-wide die crack challenge at the next coin show. Condition remains the cornerstone of value. For 2018 pennies, circulated errors often trade for modest premiums, $2 to $5 above face for worn double dies, $5 to $10 for visible die cracks. At 50 Australian dollars, light flattening on Lincoln's cap and cheek, error varieties jump to $25 to $40 depending on crack length or doubling sharpness. In uncirculated grades, the spread widens. MS60RD, full red, double dies start around $75, climbing to $300 by MS65, while MS67RD examples with exceptional eye appeal, full red color, well-centered strike, and pronounced doubling, can breach $1,500. Die chip and cud specimens share similar patterns, although dramatic cuds in high grade occasionally reach four-figure territory. What makes 2018 errors particularly fascinating is the rapid feedback loop between find and hype. Social media platforms like Instagram and YouTube amplify live unboxings, prompting immediate bidding wars on online marketplaces. As soon as photos of a sharp doubled zero in the date appear, watch listings multiply overnight. Price guides for 2018 varieties update monthly rather than annually, reflecting the fast-paced modern market. Regional dealers often reference realized prices on recent auctions rather than catalog estimates, while online coin valuation apps refresh values weekly. This dynamism can be thrilling for collectors but also demands vigilance. Savvy buyers track recent sales and forum discussions to gauge real-time demand. Amid modern automation, veteran collectors still swear by eyes on glass. The subtlety of some 2018 double dies, where doubling measures mere tenths of a millimeter, means only a bright light, a steady 10 times loop, and months of experience will suffice. For die cracks, specialized narrow-beam LED lights reveal rising lines, diffused lighting can mask them. Many collectors recommend photographing suspect coins under multiple lights and angles, then overlaying images digitally to isolate anomalies. This digital-analog hybrid approach blends centuries-old numismatic skills with 21st-century technology. As we wrap up our exploration of these three remarkable pennies, consider the broader significance. A seemingly humble penny, issued by the nation's most efficient minting operation, can surprise us, teach us, and reward us. From the double dies of 1992 to the mule errors of 2014, to the high-tech glitches of 2018, each variety tells a chapter in America's ongoing coinage saga. Whether you're an experienced collector or happen to peek into an old jar of change, keep your loop ready. Because the next groundbreaking find might just be waiting among your spare cents, ready to turn the ordinary into the extraordinary.